Y'all know anything about a heavyweight named Matty Harris? He looks to be a real big guy. He's sparred with Francis Ngannou. He says before that the Fury Ngannou fight that he sparred with Francis Ngannou, and he said he's sparred with the top guys. There's so many it'd be hard for him to name. But the interview I saw with Matty Harris was on Seconds Out. Shout out to them. And before they could really get the question out about who would win between Anthony Joshua and Francis Ngannou, he's like, "Oh, Joshua just walks right through him." It's like he just made it sound like it's going to be a walk in the park. And he said the thing that he noticed about Francis Ngannou, though, was his physical strength, man. He said, he's talking about his abs popping through his shirt. He said, you notice right away how strong he is. He was like, man, I felt like a victim. he's like, this guy could kill me if he wanted to. But, he was even saying that must have, that probably affected Tyson Fury when they fought and they clinched. He was saying how Fury probably noticed right away the physical strength of Francis Ngannou. But see, the problem with that is this isn't an MMA fight. And of course, Ngannou can kind of try to use that to maybe get in Anthony Joshua's head and to maybe make his legs kind of weak. But Joshua's got strong legs too. So, he can use it to his benefit, but like I said before, it's only a 10-round fight. So he's got to do everything at a quicker pace, and he doesn't really have the luxury of taking a round off. But yeah, he was definitely impressed with the physical strength of Ngannou, but he made no bones about it that Anthony Joshua is gonna walk right through him. And as much as I like Francis Ngannou, and I'm not saying it because, AJ's my favorite fighter, but I just think it's an easy fight for Anthony Joshua. I think he's just too precise of a puncher. I think he's just going to go in there and move in and out, and Ngannou's going to realize he's in over his head, It's not just enough to have power. You got to be able to land that power, Look at all the bodybuilders and power lifters that are stronger than any fighter, could probably punch a hole through a wall. But are they going to knock out a top heavyweight? Absolutely not. And of course, Ngannou's got more experience in the ring and with boxing. Well, one fight in the ring professionally, but he started off boxing. So, of course, Ngannou's got more experience in like a power lifter or something. I'm just trying to give an example that strength isn't the end-all, be-all when it comes to fighting a top heavyweight. And Matty Harris, don't take it from me, Matty Harris is sparred with Anthony Joshua and Francis Ngannou. And the guy's a humble guy, too, because he was called a contender, by the interviewer. He's like, I wouldn't call myself a contender, because I believe he lost his last fight to a journeyman. So he's saying, don't call me a contender right now. So he seems like a humble guy. He looks, I could look at his upper body and tell he's a big guy. He's working with Peter Fury and the Furies, and, I'm going to watch his career blossom. And he's got a fight coming up the week before the Joshua and Ngannou fight. So all you Ngannou fans out there, don't get mad at me. Don't blame the messenger. But Matty Harris, who sparred with Ngannou recently and sparred with Joshua, he thought about a year ago. So it's kind of recent. He says Joshua was going to just go right through Ngannou. Now, nobody's saying that Ngannou's not tough. Nobody's not saying he doesn't have a chin of granite, but it's just different when you go in there with the guy that can punch, move in and out, piece you up, go to your body, head, and you don't know where the punches are coming from. That's one of the problems people used to have with Mike Tyson. He was constantly moving around and hitting you in places you didn't even know where to put your hands. Not that Joshua moves like that, but in his last fight with Wileen, he was mixing up his attack pretty good. And I've seen footage of Mike Tyson back working with Ngannou, showing him how to hit the bag. I believe Mike was telling him never to step back and stuff like that. So I think more than just having Tyson teach Ngannou the fundamentals, I think Ngannou just needs Tyson in his camp to give him that confidence that he belongs in the ring with the top fighter. You know, having Tyson work with you, you're like, okay, he must see something in me to take time out of his day to try to show me the fundamentals. So that's got to be a big uplift. Dewey Cooper's still in camp, so I'm really looking forward to this fight. I don't know what people like Johnny Nelson and them are talking about, acting like, this almost like this fight shouldn't take place. And someone made a great comment on another platform, because Johnny Nelson's saying, this is it for AJ if he loses, and that's what makes fighters not want to risk anything. If you act like, oh, if you take this fight, your career's over. Just let the guys fight, man. How many games has great football players lost and still be considered one of the greats? Tom Brady, he's lost Super Bowls. He's hasn't he lost Super Bowls? But I know he's lost games. He's still considered the best quarterback to ever do it. So we shouldn't say if a fighter loses fight, oh, that's it for him. No, it's not for him. If he continues to fight and, you have one bad night, your career's not over. I'm sure Johnny Nelson's had some interviews that didn't go too well, and he's still doing interviews. So if he can still do interviews, Anthony Joshua can still fight. If Francis Ngannou loses, he can still fight. It ain't over for either guy, so I don't buy into that. Anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks to all the new subscribers out there. I appreciate you watching. If you wish to hit up the Cash App and help the platform, it's $JROOS33. And appreciate you watching. LSR forever. And be fearless. Yay.